Bam!
Jayson Waller here, True Underdog Podcast. Underdogs, I have got an amazing show for you today. This gentleman here with us is an entrepreneur. He's a social media strategist. He is a media and travel influencer, and he's a dance instructor. He once appeared on season 10 of Fox's So You Think You Can Dance. Now, I know I can't dance, but he was on there, So You Think You Can Dance. And he is the founder and CEO of Assistagram. My man, Benson. How you doing, man?
Yo, Jayson. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully the intro was good. I come in, bam, bringing energy every time I can get on the show.
Yeah. Perfect. It's 5 a.m. here in Korea, but yeah, ready to go.
Well, I'm glad that you're up and we can make this happen. So welcome to the show. Excited to get into your story and how you became, you found one of the largest marketing platforms on the web. But let me go back a bit. When you were born in South Korea and at 4 months old, you were adopted by a family in Iowa. What can you remember of those younger years?
Yeah, so I was just a baby, but I mean, I remember I'd have to say I'm grateful, one, because my mom sacrificed and gave me up so that I could have a better life. And then two, I'm very grateful and blessed because my parents in Iowa chose me out of a magazine and were like, hey, I want this cute guy. Brought me over to Iowa, where I was pretty much born and raised, lived there my whole life, went to high school, college there. And yeah, very grateful to be alive and grateful to, have such loving families. So,
That's
but
awesome.
growing up in Iowa was hard for me because, one, I looked different. And two, I spoke different. I had this speech impediment and, I couldn't say the letter R until I was in my 20s. So I was always getting teased and made fun of because I looked like an Asian dude. So I was like a misfit, looked out of place. And
so a lot of bullying going on
weird.
in school. Let's talk about that. What was that like? I mean, what kind of bullying was happening?
Oh, just simple stuff, really. Just people call me China boy or making fun of me and the way I talked. I kind of talked like the guy from Big Bang Theory that couldn't say his W's and R's. I was just like that kid. So I was super afraid to talk. So I always thought, if I could say the letter R, then I could do anything in life. And it wasn't until I was later on in life that I found my voice. But I think all kids receive a little bit of bullying and teasing when you're growing up, but it's how you handle it.
I can relate a little bit. I got made fun of for living in a trailer park and not having a lot of money and not finishing high school and all of that too. And so, we're underdogs, right? I mean, Zach, that's what it's about. It's what the show's about. So I don't mean to bring up bad memories, but you're an underdog. I mean, you had a GPA of 1.6 and your folks were thinking you were set on becoming a delinquent. Can you talk directly to those who may be struggling in their classes? Because you turned bad grades into a 6-figure job description. So talk to the listeners out there and the viewers out there of, look, you might be struggling in school, but how did you get through it? And how did you utilize your experiences to build a business?
Yeah. So, I mean, back then I was just really into breakdancing and I had ADHD, right? So I could never pay attention in class. I was always complaining and just didn't want to do work because I didn't like school and it wasn't fun for me. But then in 7th grade, I had a math and science teacher by the name of Mrs. Kuhn, and she was like no complaining, right? Just do your work, do it as best as you can. If you have any questions, ask me, I'm here to help. And I think it was just that little encouragement from my teachers, saying hey, work is hard, school is hard, just work and try your best and just do it without any complaining. So I learned to just stop complaining after that. And I think, the other thing is that if you put your mind to something and you really want to do it, just do it. Don't think so much, but just make it happen and offer your very best in everything that you do.
So here you are, you're raised in Iowa, you get bullied, you struggle in school, you go to college, and a year after you moved to Atlanta, finishing college, you decided to travel to South Korea to visit your birth mother, which you described as an emotional journey. Describe for the listeners out there that heartfelt experience.
Yeah. So during college, senior year, I made a 5-year plan. So year one, I wanted to go and live on $2 a day for food and serve over 1,000 hours in community service in Atlanta, Georgia, and just helped, refugees find jobs and homes for a year, which was life changing. And I just wanted to live on less so others could have more and learn how to empathize and learn how to love people better. But while I was there, I met this North Korean refugee, and she kind of inspired me, like, just with her story, to go back to Korea and try to find my roots and go back to the motherland. And so, Jayson, I grew up in Iowa, right? So like I didn't have my first Korean food until I went to like Korea, at the age of like 23, right? But I was teaching English there, and then, tried to find my mom, contacted my old adoption agency, and, about 10 months into it, 11 months, still no word. And my teaching contract was about to end, and next week I had to go home. But when I was about to give up, I got an email, saying that we found your mom. Like, when can you come to Seoul? And at the time I was in Busan, like the other biggest city in Korea, way down south. So I was like, tomorrow. Hopped on a train and, got to the office, and I was like, hey, what do I say to my mom? Like, aren't you going to prepare me or anything? And they're like, no, just like go in. And I opened the door, and she ran up to me. She gave me a hug. She was crying. She said, Zach, like, I love you, son. I've been waiting, praying, hoping that you'd come back someday. And I mean, it was just a really, really special moment. And I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. And it was also weird because I couldn't speak any Korean and she couldn't speak any English. So we had translators and stuff. But I felt her love through her actions, right? Like after that day, she'd come over and cook some delicious Korean food and introduce me to her whole family. And she was just super honest and real with me, right? And we had, heart to heart, and now we feel like family. So she's really still good in my life. Got a half brother, half sister. So, I mean, life, I feel really blessed.
No, you truly are blessed. And that's awesome that you could feel your mom's love. You're her son, and you guys can't communicate except with the translator, but you can feel it in her actions and the way her body language and how she's acting towards you, and then comes over and makes you the real deal on the Korean food, right? None of that stuff you might find in Iowa or Georgia, right? It's not the same. Yeah. Right. So let's go back to your dance career cut short. You ended up moving to LA, and you skyrocketed into your dance career where you landed a bunch of roles through an agency. How did you get into dance, and what were some of the coolest roles that you had?
Yeah. I mean, it was basically like during sophomore year of high school that I was gifted this breakdance DVD called How to Breakdance by Mike Garcia. And my buddy was just like, yo, like, Zach, like, you're Asian, like there's a couple other Asian kids in school, like they're all super good at breakdancing, like he's like, you should try this. And I was just like, yeah, I should live up to my Asianness, become more Asian and be cool. And I don't know, I just watched it and fell in love with it. And, I just kept on practicing and working and started competing, like battling all over Iowa, the Midwest, like Chicago, started traveling with it. And then I moved out to LA to audition for this TV show called So You Think You Can Dance. And at that time it was like season 8. So it was kind of a newer show, but I'd see like all of these dancers just like try out again and time after time after time. And, 5th or 6th season, like they finally made it to the top 20 and made a name for themselves. And so I thought if I wanted to do anything with dance, I'd have to move out to LA, the big city, compete with the world's best and try to make a name for myself. And, it was hard. It was grind. Like I got rejected a few times, but each season I made it a little bit further and made it far enough to kind of make a name for myself and teach dance all over the world. And towards the end of it, it was, making a pretty good income out of it, around $1,000 an hour, just teaching dance workshops in Iowa and around the Midwest. So it was really cool. And Yeah, I mean,
What
teaching's my passion.
your
So,
career was
yeah.
cut short though, right? Due to a back injury.
Yeah, it
And you
was.
managed
It
to start a
was.
side
Yeah.
hustle. So what was it like to face such a setback and then what I would call is pivot and go? You know, my man, David Nurse, I stole it from his book title. You pivoted and went somewhere else with it. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, at that age, I felt like I was invincible, right? I was just cocky. I was confident. I was like, hey, I'm never going to get hurt. I'm never going to get injured. My financial advisor was like, hey, what happens if you do? You can't use your hands and your feet no more. Like, what are you going to do? And, I never thought that it was going to happen and didn't have a plan B. But when it actually did, late 2015 in India during a warm up at a performance, life just came crashing down. And here I was at the top, living life, doing what I love, traveling, meeting people, eating well, doing stuff that, it was just fun, right? Fun times. And then when it was all taken away, I just didn't know what to do. But the same friend who got me into dancing called me up and was like, Zach, I know you're depressed, going through some hard times, but like, listen, like me and my brother, we're killing it, crushing it on Instagram. Like, you got to get in on this. And so with the last $10,000 I had to my name because of all the medical bills and stuff, right? I didn't have insurance because I was like, I'm never going to get hurt. I asked my dad to help me send some money to my buddy in Miami. So we sent a $10,000 check to Miami, 2016, to purchase 10% of a 400,000 follower Instagram account. And, I pretty much made my money back by growing other people's Instagram accounts. And then my friend got out of it. I went all in and started, rinsing and repeating the process and building up my network and my Instagram empire. And, fast forward today, we have a, 200 million network working with some of the biggest brands in the world. But yeah, back then, I mean, yeah.
Who are some of the big brands that you work with right now?
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of got a name for myself because I started working with, I volunteered to work with like Dubai, like the tourism board, and helping them organize their tourism campaigns for a year. So that's how I made a lot of my big influencer and brand connections. After that, I started doing some work with like Ritz-Carlton and Thailand and Bali and all over the world. And, we've worked with other entrepreneurs like Robert Kiyosaki, Russell Brunson, Les
Do you
Brown.
travel a lot of these places? Is that part of your work?
Yeah. Travel's my life. It's what I do. So normally, like pre-COVID, I was in another country, another culture, like every single week. So these tourism boards and hotels like fly out our influencers, creators to come over, create content and share about our experiences. So I've gotten over, I think now, 3 years of travel for free. Sometimes staying at hotels that are like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a night.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Not a bad gig, huh?
I mean, I can't pay that, but it's for free.
Well, you built this empire, a Sistagram. Talk about that business that you built. I mean, you mentioned it a little bit here, but talk about it, exactly what you guys do and what the vision is for that.
Yeah. So think of a Sistagram as like your own like personal virtual assistant that's doing everything for you on your Instagram, from content strategy, creating content management, posting for you 7 days a week, researching hashtags, doing the engagement groups, responding to all of your messages in your inbox, and doing outreach, like hundreds to thousands of little manual actions every day, like guerrilla tactics and strategies to help you grow and monetize. So a Sistagram is exactly that, just like your outsourced Instagram team that's doing everything for you every day, right? So it's fun, and I think that everybody has like a goal, like a product, a service, something that they're trying to get out to the world, but they just don't have the right team, or they just don't know how to do it. And so that's what we help people with, is just helping them grow and monetize and build their brands and build their business on Instagram. And it's fun for me because it's just,
you'd love to see them maybe get their blue check or get the followers they want, things like that. Yeah,
exactly. All of that just helps people make their dream come to life faster, right? It's like when you have a team doing some stuff that you just don't know how to do or don't have time for, you can focus on the things that you need to do to, other things that are priorities and to grow your business.
Well, you one of your main philosophies, towards making and engaging online content is being real on social media. Besides the authenticity, how do you gain post traction besides being real? And why do you think people need to be real?
I mean, it's just like we live in a world now where it's like you can show what you want to show or don't show anything at all on social media, right? It's easy to kind of fake it or just like show off. So I feel like it's very refreshing when people see like a real, raw, like super authentic, genuine post where you talk about some, pains, like what happened. Like maybe you talk about you lost a big deal or you overcame a sickness or an addiction or, something happened and then you learned X and this is how you handled it and this is how you grew from it. I think that really connects with people because they're like, oh, like, okay, this guy is actually going through some same stuff that I'm going through, right? And he overcame it. And so I think that's really, really cool nowadays to like show on social media, and people respect you a lot more and connect with you when you're more real.
So what's the future look like for you and for what your vision is for Assistagram?
Yeah, I think right now, we're really excited, like partnering up with other brands and startups and helping them grow and scale, because a lot of people, they don't, when they're first starting up, don't necessarily have a lot of money and capital. So we're trying to find creative ways to help people with little money out of pocket to, that and partner with brands and companies that we believe in to help them grow. So that's cool. And then we also are doing some amazing things on Amazon with our Amazon partners. So we throw a lot of masterminds and events in tropical destinations and bring influencers. And at the end of the week, they leave with the done for you Amazon brand. So we're helping try to help people grow their followings, monetize their followings, and leverage their followings to create more awesome products and businesses so that they can have multiple streams of income and do more of what they love and help the people they love.
I love that. So, let's talk legacy. You said you want to be remembered for your positivity, kindness. Any last words of encouragement for the underdogs tuning in, trying to find their feet?
All I got to say is that life happens, knocks you down, and, you got to keep standing up, keep fighting, keep pushing and failing forward and just go for what you want, because, life is hard and you never know what's going to happen. And even a year, 2 years from now, maybe you or someone might not be around. They might not be here anymore. And so I always just try not to take any day for granted and just try to do my best and be my best and at every single moment, think about how I can best love other people and encourage others and help others. And that's really all we have.
No, well said. I mean, that's my talk with Zach. Dancer to marketer, anything is possible. I'm glad to hear you've been absolutely crushing the game despite your early hardships. And I'm so excited. I know the listeners love that you found your real mom, your birth mom, and you have a relationship. I think that's great as well. How can the folks out there follow Mr. Zach Benson?
Yeah. Well, I'd love to connect with you guys. Would love to hear your story. So feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. @ZachVacay is my Instagram account. And if you're interested and you need help on Instagram, go to assistagram.com. And I would love to set up a call and see how we can help you.
I love that. Zach, thanks so much for coming on, sharing that information and your story, your underdog story with everyone. That's a wrap on the show. Bam!
And that concludes another episode here on True Underdog. If you're interested in hearing more, make sure you subscribe at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube channel. You can always visit TrueUnderdog.com, subscribe to all of them. Make sure you check out our newest episodes coming out on Mondays and Thursdays. True Underdog, baby. Bam!